There is a Chinese company that spent $36 million on a single Super Bowl in 2024. That same company was losing $30 on every order it shipped. Goldman Sachs did the math. Wired confirmed it. It was at the time Meta's biggest advertiser on earth. You know them. It's Temu. And the company right next to them on every app store chart, Shein, is running the same playbook. I'm going to show you how both of them built a $100 billion empire on a single tax loophole, and why, 8 months ago, that loophole got executed on camera by the American government. Here's what most people believe. Temu and Shein got big because Chinese factories are cheap, Chinese logistics are fast, and American shoppers love a deal. That is not wrong, just missing the actual engine. Both companies grew up in the same corner of Guangzhou, China, sometimes even the same factories. A supplier making a $4 shorts for Shein on Monday was making a $3 shorts for Temu on Tuesday. The underlying product is often identical, but the price you paid wasn't about the factory. It was about a rule from 1930 that almost nobody had heard of. It's called the Minimis. The Latin just means about trifles, and the rule said that if a package coming into the United States was worth less than $800, customs wouldn't tax it, wouldn't really inspect it either, it would just pass through. In 2015, Americans received 153 million of these packages, a decent number. 10 years later, 1.4 billion. That's according to US Customs. Chinese low-value exports alone went from $5 billion to $66 billion between 2018 and 2023. That's from Congressional Research Service, not some random think tank. So here's the real question. The question I want you to hold on to for the next 6 minutes. If the Minimis loophole is what made these two companies possible, what happens to them the second it disappears? Because 8 months ago, it disappeared, and the numbers that came out of it are wild. Let's go in order. Data point 1. Between 2018 and 2023, the value of small Chinese packages shipped into America went from $5.3 billion to $66 billion. That's a 12x jump in 5 years. Every single one of these packages legally paid zero import tax. And more than 30% of the daily volume comes from just two companies, Temu and Shein. That's Reuters, February 2025. Data point 2. This is where it gets crazy. In 2023, Temu spent $3 billion on marketing. 2 of those $3 billion went to one place, Meta. Temu was that year Meta's single biggest advertiser on the planet. Goldman Sachs wrote the research note. Now, you might think that a $3 billion ad budget sounds like a confident company with fat margins. It was not. Goldman estimated Temu was losing about $30 on every single order it shipped. Some analysis put the annual losses between $588 million and $954 million. Think about that. They were setting money on fire to get you to buy a $2 phone charger. Why would anyone do that? Data point 3. Because as long as the Minimis was alive, every single one of those subsidized sales was also duty-free. Temu's real product wasn't a phone charger. It was a tax arbitrage. And the advertising was just a delivery mechanism. By 2024, Temu's marketing budget was up to $4.3 billion. And here's the stat that should stop you. It costs Temu between $38 and $40 to acquire one paying customer. The company breaks even only after the same person places 4.2 orders. 4 orders per customer, just to get back what they spent to land them. That's from TechBuzz, China's Rui Ma, who's been tracking this cohort by cohort. This was never retail business. This was a blitz-scaling bet, and the bet was that the loophole would stay open long enough for Temu to become so big, so habitual, that it wouldn't matter when it closed. They lost that bet. On May 2nd, 2025, President Trump signed an executive order ending the Minimis exemption for packages from China and Hong Kong. On August 29, 2025, he extended that ban to every country on Earth. Here's what happened inside 30 days. According to Sensor Tower data shared with CNBC, Temu's US daily active users dropped 52%. Shein's fell 25%. And that's not even the worst part. Data point 5. Temu's US advertising spending in May 2025 was down 95% year over year and 95%. Shein's was down 70. Temu went from running about 9,000 ads per month on Meta to 4. Sensor Tower counted it. Why? Simple. The whole equation broke. When your pricing depends on zero tariffs, and suddenly tariffs are 54%, which is where they are right now. The math flips. Tech Buzz China calculated that at 50% tariff, Temu loses its price advantage entirely, its whole reason to exist. Now look at Shein, which people thought was more durable because it had its own supply chain and a real brand. Shein's profits dropped 40% in 2024. That's the Financial Times reporting. Net profit came in around £789 million, just over $1 billion. Its valuation told the same story. In 2022, investors valued Shein at $100 billion. By 2023, $66 billion. By early 2026, investors were pushing for 30. The London IPO? Dead. Chinese regulators wouldn't clear it. The backup Hong Kong listing has been sitting in limbo for months. 2 years ago, Shein was going to be the biggest IPO of the decade. Now, it's not sure which continent will have it. Data point 7. And this is the one the industry really underestimates. In Q1 2025, Chinese e-commerce parcel volume to the US dropped 65%. In the same quarter, volume to Europe jumped 28% because the EU has its own de minimis threshold, €150. And in 2024, 4.6 billion low-value packages entered the EU, 91% of them from China, double the year before. The European Commission flagged it immediately, so Temu and Shein didn't just get hit, they got hit, they ran for the next open door, and the EU is already trying to close that door too. Here's the twist I promised you at the start. Temu and Shein aren't the same company. Shein is fashion, Temu is everything. Different founders, different suppliers, different websites. But they are the same scam, and by scam, I mean this specifically, a business model that only looked magical because of two things working at the same time. 1. A tariff loophole that let Chinese packages enter the US untaxed. 2. Venture capital willing to subsidize losses of $30 in order to buy market share. Take either one of those legs away and the whole table falls. May 2nd, 2025 took the first leg, and here's the part almost nobody's talking about. The second leg. The subsidized losses only made sense as long as the first leg was holding up the table. Once tariffs kicked in, burning money on ads to acquire customers who would now pay $10 more per order stopped being a bet on future dominance. It became just lighting money on fire. That's why Temu cut its US ad spending by 95% in 30 days. The math flipped overnight. Now the honest part. Temu's US install base rebounded. 185 million monthly actives in August 2025, down to 68 million by June 2025, back up to 91 million by October 2025. Both apps were still the first and second most downloaded shopping apps in the world in 2025, according to Sensor Tower's State of Mobile report. So they're not dying, they're not going to zero, but the version of them that took over America in 2023 and 2024, the $10 dress, the $2 earbuds, the free shipping from Guangzhou in 4 days, that version is done. What's left is a normal-ish e-commerce company with US warehouses, higher prices, slower growth, and regulators in Brussels, Washington, and Beijing crawling all over it. In the UK, a Belgian-led joint investigation tested 162 products from both sites in late 2025. 70% of them failed EU safety rules. Every single Shein toy tested had a defect. 26 out of 2070 more toys. Toxic substances, choking hazards. The EU has already opened a formal probe under its Digital Services Act. The potential fine? 6% of global revenue. That's the scam strips down. Untaxed imports, subsidized ads, insufficient safety compliance. All three pieces are being pulled out at the same time. So here's the one-sentence version. The Temu and Shein story was never about cheap factories. It was about a 95-year-old American tariff rule that let Chinese packages skip customs. And that rule is dead. What happens next is the interesting part. Temu is doubling down on Europe, Brazil, Saudi Arabia, Thailand. Shein is trying to get listed in Hong Kong because every other stock exchange said no. Both are opening warehouses in Illinois and California and pretending they've always been locally fulfilled. The golden era of $2 dresses in your mailbox with zero tariff paid? Over. But here's where you come in. I wanna know what you think. Pick a side in the comments. Side A. Temu and Shein will adapt. Warehouses, higher prices, normal margins. In 3 years, they're just a discount version of Amazon and you barely notice. Side B. This was never a real business. Without the tariff loophole and the subsidized ads, both companies shrink back into niche fast fashion and niche cheap stuff sites, and someone else entirely owns the bottom of the e-commerce market. If you want more stories where the numbers tell a different story than the headlines, subscribe to our channel. New videos every Monday and Tuesday. I'll see you in the next one.